Elijah and a little girl named Corinne. Something for my godson Elijah and a little girl named Corinne. Some say the blacker the better, the sweeter the juice. I say the darker the flesh and the deeper the roots. I give a holler to my sisters on welfare, Tupac kids, if don't nobody else care. And I know they like to beat you down a lot. When you come around the block, brothers clown a lot. So please don't cry, dry your eyes, never let up. Forgive but don't forget, girl, keep your head up. And when he tells you you ain't nothing, don't believe him. And if you can't learn to love you, you should leave him. Cause sister, you don't need. And I ain't trying to gas you up, I just call them how I see. You know what makes me unhappy? That when brothers make babies and leave a young mother to be a mess. And since we all came from a woman, got our name from a woman, and I came from a woman. I wonder why we take from our women, why we rape our women, do we hate our women? I think it's time to kill for our women, time to heal our women, be real to our women. And if we don't, we'll have a race of babies that will hate the ladies that make the babies. And since a man can't make one, he has no right to tell a woman when and where to create one. So will the real men get up? I know you're fed up, ladies, but keep your head up.
Ooh, child, things are gonna get easy. Keep your head up. Ooh, child, things will get brighter.
Keep your head up.
Ooh, child, things are gonna get easy. Keep your head up. Ooh, child, things will get brighter.
Hey yo, I remember Marvin Gaye used to sing to me. He had me feeling like black was the thing to be. And suddenly the ghetto didn't seem so tough. As though we had it rough, we always had enough. I huffed and puffed about my curfew and broke the rules. Ran with the local crew and had a smoke or two. I realized mama really paid the
What up,
price.
y'all?
She nearly gave her life to raise me right. And all I had to give her was my pipe dream of how I rock the mic and make it to the right screen.
Hold on, Edna, we got Laura, we got J-Mag. What's up?
It's hard to be legit and still pay your rent. And in the end, it seems I'm heading for the pen. I try to find my friends, but they're blowing in the wind. Last night, my buddy lost his whole family. It's gonna take the man in me to conquer this insanity. It seems the rain will never let up. I try to keep my head up and still keep from getting wetter. You know it's funny when it rains, it pours. They got money for wars, but can't feed the poor. Said it ain't no hope for the youth, and the truth is it ain't no hope for the future.
Nah, Mouth, he may be your daddy. He ain't my
I blame my
daddy.
mother for turning my brother into a crack
He
baby.
just president. It's cool. Or the elect at this point.
Even though you're fed up.
What up, y'all? Hey, what up, big bro? What are you drinking?
And to all the ladies having babies on their own, I know it's kind of rough and you're feeling all alone. Daddy's long gone and he left you by your lonesome. Thank the Lord for my kids, even if nobody else want them. Cause I think we can make it, in fact I'm sure. And if you fall, stand tall and come back for more. Cause ain't nothing worse than when your son wants to know why his daddy don't love him no more. You can't complain, you was dealt this hell of a hand without a man feeling helpless. Because there's too many things for you to deal with. Dying inside, but outside you're looking fearless. While the tears is rolling down your cheek, you're steady hoping things don't all fall this week. Cause if it did, you couldn't take it. And don't blame me, I was given this world, I didn't make it. And now my son's getting older and older and cold from having the world on the shoulders. While the rich kids are driving Benz, I'm still trying to hold on to surviving friends. And it's crazy, it seems they'll never let up. But please, you got to keep your head up.
Look,
Something for my godson.
let me stop this. I get it. Some of y'all may, I know, me too, hold. Some of y'all may feel like, I mean, I know there's a lot of people online and they're having a good time with these videos of people crying over it or whatever. And I mean, I guess y'all can have a good time with it. I personally, like, to me, a politician is a politician, and at the end of the day, like, they either gonna do the job, they either gonna do a great job, they're gonna do a mediocre job, or they're gonna set this place ablaze. And at this point, it just is what it is. Like, ain't nobody over here crying about that shit. Um, I mean, all right, David. Well, okay. I don't know. I look at the end of the day, like you just move accordingly. That's the way I look at it. Like if and that's the all you can do. Like you can't be. That's all you could do, honestly. Like I have no other words of encouragement. All I know how to do is move accordingly. When shit is going wrong, or you see something's not right or whatever, then you do what you need to do to protect yourself, to protect your family. That's all you can do. Oh, because I'm reviewing a video. So that's why the title is what it is. And I know there are a lot of people that are emotional about this, and that's the whole point. It's to kind of, help people feel a little bit better. But that just is what it is. To be honest, the longer I smoke this joint, the less I care. My day doesn't. I mean, that's the reality, right? Like your day to day is not gonna stop. You still gotta go out. You still gotta make money. You still gotta, take care of your family. You still gotta take your kids to school. All that shit. And all you could do is like be like, all right, as the shit presents itself, as problems present themselves, if they do, then you do what you have to do to take care of your family. Like that's really all you can do. I know, right, Laura? Remember this time around, during 2020, and all the stolen election tweets and all that other shit. I don't have the energy to give it to it anymore. At this point, it's just the reality. I'm devastated. I've been crying off and on since last night. I know that sounds ridiculous. I mean, everyone is gonna have a different response to it. I don't know if it's just because of like, you know, how and like how I grew up and where I grew up at, that I was all like I learned as I got older that local politics is what matters, because when you come from like the areas that I come from, that's like all the other shit don't really trickle down to you right away. You need the local politics to be right. And so I guess because of that, you just roll with the punches, you know what I mean? Like, but it's fine. Like, if you feel away, then it's perfectly fine to feel nervous about things, and especially if you're online. And I would say, if you do feel away and you are feeling like overly emotional about it or whatever, then take a step back. Take a step back offline. Give yourself a minute. Because in the real world, like maybe it may not seem as daunting. You know what I mean? But if you're online, it's gonna feel like the world is about to end tomorrow, John. I mean, there's a lot to be worried about. There is, but at the same time, I don't know. Like, I just look at it like we've been through some shitty ass presidents, and I just look at it like, hopefully, he doesn't do all the things that he seems to want to do. Oh, you haven't seen the stolen election tweets yet? I know there's probably gonna be a few of them running around, but because of like, especially because of like the bomb threats and stuff like that happen in certain election poll sites and stuff like that. So California voted down raising the minimum wage. California did that? What? Wow, that's messed up. Are you kidding me? Cherry, this is the first I've watched anything all day. I just can't. Yeah, I feel you. I understand that. I'm scared for my kids. I have felt like a piece of shit for having kids in this day and age. I would say that for me, like, and I would say for any person who maybe has a family, um, and who lives in certain states, or maybe you're planning to have a family, to be very careful about that. Only because, like, you know, it's romanticized, like how, at least from my perspective on TikTok and shit, on how, you know, uh, Trump is gonna be family oriented in his policies and shit like that. Which, I mean, anyone who has watched Trump is finding that hard to believe, but whatever. And but I would say that when you look at like Roe v. Wade, the and how each state is handling it, it it can affect you in a lot of different ways. So it's like that story that was told of the woman who who lost her life due to her pregnancy. Like, be very careful because worst case scenario, if you are pregnant and something happens, it can affect you in a very real way. God forbid that child doesn't make it and you need that child to be taken out of your body. So just like keep that in mind if you're planning on a family. Because in a perfect scenario, you have your baby, everybody's healthy and all that shit. But if something happens, how is that going to affect you? And if you already have children, are you going to run the risk of leaving those kids motherless because your state doesn't think that you should be able to get that life saving abortion? Like, so it's something to pay attention to. Laura, I'm not angry, I'm disappointed. Yeah, I feel you. Yeah. Yeah, I think, look, if I have to be disappointed at anybody, when I saw what was it, 60% of Latinos voted, I was like, it doesn't surprise me. I'm actually putting a video together about like um that specifically, but like it doesn't surprise me that that happened, but it is like disheartening. You know what I mean? Um, so it really is. Pretty, I'm worried for my nieces. It's not okay to tell people they shouldn't be upset. We have each other's back through this. No, you. I don't think it's right. I don't think it's reasonable to tell people not to be upset. Stolas, like, I think it's unreasonable to be like, no, you need to suck it up. I just know my response to things is typically like not apathetic, but more so like, um, I'ma just roll with the punches type of thing because that's just all. That's the only way I know how to process like anything that might be a little, like might pose some challenges or whatever, right? But like generally speaking, to tell people like they can't be upset, I think it's unreasonable and it's unrealistic. Like, cause people process disappointment in different ways. Um. Uh. All right, David. Good for you. Yeah, I mean the reality is we've had some shitty presidents. So we've had some shitty presidents, and I kind of use that as like my I'm like, all right, we've had some fucking bad presidents, and with Trump we kind of know what to expect to some degree because we've already had him as a president. How much further he'll go is the scary part in a lot, for a lot of people. So you just gotta move accordingly. But taking care of pet reproductive care is healthcare. Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely. We need to recognize that this was the fault of the voters. The disinformation was chef's kiss. The richest man in the world paid to con the electorate, and they couldn't see right through it. I agree with you, Vidal, in the sense that like the the disinf the disinformation and just and this has been happening for like what, maybe the anti like intellectual sort of sentiment, where if you go to college and you're educated, there's something wrong with you. And that sort of like resentment towards intellectuals, I think, which started, I think, during Trump's first run, during his first campaign, right? Probably prior to that, but I'm gonna be, admittedly, I wasn't paying attention to politics in the way that I have been in the past, decade, I should say. Prior to that, I was young and couldn't care less about who the hell was any, was a politician or president or whatever. And so, um that's when I started to notice this like anti-intellectual sentiment and that a lot of people had, and it was the way that Trump was able to connect with a lot of voters in certain areas of the country, because voters from predominantly blue states and voters who were college educated and voters who um held high positions or whatever were looked at as like elitist. And to some degree, right, I guess there's an argument to be made about like, you know, how uh groups interact with each other specifically regarding stuff like this, right? Like if you have a group that is like educated looking at a group that isn't as a, as less than, I think that's where that came from. I don't think it happens all the time, but I think it happens enough to where people um have some sort of resentment about it. But then there's also what was being, that was the messaging. That was the messaging for a long time. And realistically speaking, if you're from an area where you're not really coming in contact with a bunch of, you know, intellectuals, so to speak, how would you even know how they would treat you? And so it was more so the messaging and the rhetoric that did the job. Um, oh, 100%. Yeah, they 1000% voted against women. Politics is becoming a bigger reason I'm considering not doing kids or marriage again. I, which is wild, right? That's wild that you could be like, that there could be such a small percentage of people in an entire county that votes blue, and it probably would help that county more if they voted blue. But it doesn't surprise me. No, Nova, do it come to Jesus with the Latino voters. Man, I was so this. I was like, you have to be kidding me, yo. It doesn't, but like I said, it doesn't surprise me when you talk about um anti, you know, the misogyny that does exist within uh, uh Latino communities. And I'm speaking as as a Latina. There's a lot of misogyny. There's also a lot of anti-blackness in Latino community. So when you add the two of those together, that's a recipe for pretty much what we got. Also the electoral college is stupid as fuck. It is an archaic way. That's true. Oh, what's going on, carnivorous? Long time no see. I'm disappointed in the voters. Nearly 20 million fewer than 2020. That's true. That's true. Hey, D. Hey, I know I've been around in a while, just dropping to give you support. Oh, thank you. What's going on? It's been a minute. You gotta feel your feels. You just can't dwell in them. We all do it differently. Exactly. By the way, know that this country votes on vibes. Nobody really votes on policy. Civics class is sorely missing. That's true. Yeah, my my son was like, my son was like, the only bad thing that I could think about Kamala was that she wanted to add 3 extra hours onto school. I said, well, shit, considering the way people voted, that might be a good idea. He was like, no, I don't want to be in school for 3 extra hours. I mean, and it's crazy too because at his age, my kid is 15. So at his age, I was never engaged in politics, never paid attention. Like, and him, he's reading policies. He's like paying attention to what's on Trump's page versus like he read part of Project 2020. Like, he's been like, you know, pay like pendiente, as we like to say, like paying attention to what's going on. Uh, you can roll with the punches. Not everyone is gonna have that chance, though. Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's why I try not to tell people like how to respond to anything, John. Like, I'm just like, hey, that's why I decided to go live. I'm like, hey, like we could all just kind of chit chat about it, talk or whatever. If you in your feels about it, that's cool. Like feel your feels. I'm personally, I just don't respond to stuff like that. So, like I said, I can come off a bit, I don't know, apathetic when it comes to certain things, or just like, disconnected. But it's just that's just the way that's just the way I handle stuff. It'll be okay for the white folks who have money. The rest of us are screwed for the next 4 years. True. Last night I said North Korea would be on the move to. Yeah, I saw you. I was looking at the briefing earlier, like before I went live. I was like, holy shit. I said North Korea will be on the move today. Pentagon briefing: North Korea troops on the move into Ukraine. John, the people in rural communities who think Trump is going to help them are going to be proven so very wrong. Agreed. Agreed. Um, I church cafe abortion being called reproductive care. Is it not? All right. The anti-intellectualism has been around for a long time. Yeah, I think maybe because I just didn't start paying attention to it until, I started paying attention to politics. But yeah, I'm sure it has been. I feel like they've been working on that for a long time. I just didn't see it. But yes, Trump empowered the idea that education was a bad thing. Right. His mental degradation is the part that raises my anxiety. Unsound mind with limited check power is like pouring gasoline on a dumpster in a dumpster filled with styrofoam. I didn't want that stupid ass motherfucker in the White House. I thought he we would have had a better shot with Kamala Harris. We kind of knew the direction she wanted to go. We already know Trump's BS. Yeah, disappointed but not surprised. True, true. Um, um, college educated does not equal intelligent. I would say college educated equals informed. Not in, and there are people who are willfully ignorant of certain things, but when you learn how to interpret information, that can help in when you're trying to sort of like determine what policies work or what how they can affect you and how can they affect the people around you, your loved ones, yada yada yada. Yeah, North Korea soldiers are Ukraine. My friend is Dominican, bragging about him winning. Yeah, I got some, I got some people that are doing that, and I'm just like, all right. I also feel like we're in a very, like us in New York and in like the states that overwhelmingly, even when things are going bad, it's still overwhelmingly blue. um, we're sort of at an advantage, and that could also, probably be the reason why I'm not as emotional about it, because I do feel like we are sort of advantaged, and like we have a lot of social services, and we tend to not lose a lot of those things when um how do you call, like when things happen they don't necessarily affect us when it comes to like social services and things of that nature right away. I'm not saying they can affect us, but in my experience, I'm glad the people in my life who voted for Trump aren't gloating to me about it. I mean, I was like thinking, imagine like you married to a person, they're gloating about the fact that Trump won, and you're like in tears if you're like one of the, and you're just like scared and in tears and not knowing, like feeling unsure, and they're like gloating. Oh my God, can you imagine the amount of divorces? I saw a few. What do you call? I saw like a few. Uh, ¿Cómo se llama? Like, what do you call them? Like TikToks. Oh my God, I can't remember the word. I saw a few TikToks of women saying like they were divorcing their husbands. Because I was looking this morning. Um, I had my stupid ass brother tell I had to tell my stupid ass brother to stop telling the neighbors I was against Trump when he was outside gossiping. I was legit scared he was gonna get me. Yeah, I don't blame you, because they start doing all types of stuff. At least the political text messages and damn mail flyers will stop. Right? They'll stop asking for money and stuff. Oh shit, your mom, are you happy? Look, your guy won. Maybe we'll get some checks this time around. I grew up paying attention to politics. I know. I remember you telling me I was a kid and knew the names of the special counsel that investigated Bill Clinton. Politics is in my blood. Yeah, I didn't. I did not. I grew up being told that presidents are selected and not elected, and so having grown up with that sort of like, yeah, because remember I grew up Muslim. Like I grew up kind of like, you know like NOI and like Nation of Islam and all that. Like I grew up kind of like those teachings to some degree. We weren't NOI, but it was definitely like I saw a lot of the I grew up with a lot of the teaching. Let me put it like that. But as I grew older, obviously as I became an adult, I learned more about this stuff because I became more interested. But like growing up, we were taught like politics it ain't for us. It ain't never gonna benefit us. Don't even bother yourself with it. Just do what you gotta do. And so that's why I didn't really pay attention to it like a lot until I became like a whole adult. Um, wait, hold on. I'm gonna try this. Ru- Rural, jacket. Wait. Rural, jur. I can't do I can't do it. I can't do it. Oh my god. I know, right, PTM? And mom, I don't know if this is the thing you want to gloat about. Let's give it some time and see if it's worth gloating about. And the argument was never whether or not he would win. It was whether or not it made sense to vote for him to win. That was the argument. So, Trump W is a W for America, I guess. I mean, look, the reality is that if he does do well, then yes, it is a W for America. If he does do well. So I mean, obviously you want the president to, like, do the best that they can do so that the citizens are affected in a positive way. But from his rhetoric to what he says he wants to do, it ain't looking too good. It's not looking too good at all, and it's looking especially scary for women, for um, trans folks, for immigrants. So, and that's just to name a few. Y'all can throw in other people as hey, poolside. My fellow Latinxers who voted with your heart, you better be right. Otherwise, your actions were in vain and you stuck with someone who was going to bend the rules for himself. He's going to abandon ship. Yeah, divorce, right? Latinos don't say. I mean, I think J Mag is Latino, so how you gonna tell another Latino what they say? Some Latinos don't like Latinx. I don't necessarily use Latinx, but that's not really me being against it. It's just not really a part of my speech. But some Latinos do use it, and some don't. Like it. Hey, there's a bright side no matter how bleak. Either we're correct and get to watch the world burn and say, told you so, or we're wrong and get to live better lives. I severely doubt the latter. Yeah, I agree with that. Like, I reckon Rev supported Trump while Shanny supported. I know a couple who got divorced over Trump's first win. Really, I mean, I kind of don't blame them. Rev claims he's anti-Trump, but that's because Shanny is. Um, I told Nova what was happening in my offline life despite being in a very accepting province. I can't imagine how bold those people would be living in the US. I know, right? I know, John. Yep. I can't relax. Oh, man. I can't relax your jaw is a wild statement. Tell it I'm not doing that. Now I can say rural because I have to take my time. I know your mama. Too many Latinos voted for it. It's unfortunate. But I thought it was gonna be overwhelmingly in the hood. Yo mama, like, so you was wrong. Nobody needs Duolingo just for the word. I'm not saying it no more. I'm just saying the R word. But no, I can't say that because then that means something else. Fuck it. I'm just gonna say in the middle of nowhere. That's how I'm gonna say rural from now on. The middle of nowhere. Your mama is a black. 46% of Latino men, 24% of black men. Uh, oh my God. Thank you for the super prayer. The rural jury will wear the rural jewelry of a W. Oh my God. That was terrible. Um, all right. My son already left the US. My daughter is child rearing age, afraid of complications if when she has a baby. Her Cuban mother in law is singing this morning, and my daughter was texting me upset. Her mother in law is Cuban? Yeah, that don't surprise me. It's not like people, man, all the Puerto Ricans that voted for Trump too. I'm like, it's not like people who are anti Trump want him to do a bad job. We just believe he's capable. Yeah, and I think you mean that he's not capable of doing a good job. Yeah, Stolas, I agree. I don't think anyone wants him to do a bad job. I mean, it looks, I mean, it affects us negatively. Um, your mom is the guy in the M&M factory throwing out all the W's. I have to say, world very slow and deliberate also comes out as riled. Okay, I'm way okay. I'm not as behind. Okay, all right. So I found this video real quick. I figured we watch it. I didn't plan to be on here for too long because like I got this video that I have to put together and it's gonna take a little bit and um you know and I mean and there's also things to consider because some of y'all know I was planning on moving, so there's those things to consider as well. So I'm not. So that's why I don't want it to come off like I don't like if I'm telling people who are upset about it that they shouldn't be upset. I understand it. I understand now being kind of worried about what your future looks like if you're not just able to up and go, or you if your entire family. I think Stolas had pointed it out last night. If you're taking care of family, or you have elderly parents, or you have a job, that a career that you have built in the state that now you're unsure about living in. I get all of that, sort of the feelings behind that. So I don't want to come off like in apathetic is the word. I can't think of the other word that I was thinking about. Beyonce, Taylor Swift, Oprah, and $1 billion spent to get landslided. um so I will say that I think that so there's two things. What Vidal said earlier about disinformation, I think that of course affected things in the worst way, and I think it probably affected things back when Hillary was running. Um, but I also think that number one, Kamala didn't have as long of a time campaigning as she should have had. And I think because of that, it forced the campaign to be about what Trump is not going to be. Or what Trump, what they're going to be, versus what Trump was or what Trump will do. And I think there wasn't enough time to connect with the voter base. At the end of the day, Trump connects with his voter base, whether even though it's on the worst, it's for the worst reasons. You know what I mean? Like otherism and just like that kind of shit. Like he connects with them at the end of the day. Like he knows what they want to hear, he knows what they want, and he deals with whether it makes sense or not. He deals with their concerns. He addresses their concerns, even if he does nothing about it. He's still addressing it, and I think that maybe that's where the the Harris campaign couldn't do it, fully because there wasn't enough time. Like she only had what, like 4 months, 4 or 5 months versus like what 2 years. Like a regular campaign is like 2 years, maybe more. So like you also have to take that into consideration too. Um, let's see. Well, Elon spent 44 billion. You can't compete with that. And Elon, what did he say? Elon was gonna be the he's gonna put him in charge of what? I can't remember. I can't remember what it was. Vidal, help me. I know you remember. Being upset changes nothing. Just gotta roll with it. True. Being upset, be upset. I will drink your tears. All right, yo, mama. Are we back in 2016? Relax. Oh, the liberal tears are so. Yeah, good God. Like, that's the problem too. Like people don't treat each other like human beings. At the end of the day, like there are people who have legitimate fears on the table when it comes to like bodily autonomy and shit like that. And you may look at it, or some people may look at it. Oh well, if you don't want to deal with not being able to have an abortion, well then just don't get pregnant. But that's not all it. That's not all it affects, and that's the problem with when people address these topics. It's like it's just on the surface. Oh well, then if you want to get an abortion, then or don't get pregnant if you're gonna want to get an abortion. Okay, fine. Take that off the table. Take someone getting pregnant and just wanting an abortion off the table. What about the woman who gets married, gets pregnant, and then gets sick throughout her pregnancy and needs an abortion to save her life? What about that woman? And what about if she already has a couple kids? So you're leaving them kids motherless because your religion tells you that that woman shouldn't get an abortion. That's the problem. Seeing beyond the initial thing. How does it affect people outside of what the rhetoric is? Anyway, I'm gonna leave that there because I'm not here to fucking like. And again, and your mama. I would say this to you too, and I would say like there's an advantage that we have, those of us who live in blue states, and so I feel for people who don't live in blue states who have to deal with this as a reality. I ain't gotta worry. If something happens to me, I could go to the doctor and I'm gonna get the treatment because I don't live in a state where that shit is not, at least not yet. But somewhere else, it can actually affect them in that way. And then what? And so that like sort of like apathy towards other people's real life scenarios is the problem. Um um I don't know if shutdown was unnecessary, but I mean, I'm trying to get out of this cursed state, but I need to see what happens before I can make a full decision on where I go. It's put my plans in limbo. Yeah, I had plans to move, but now the where I wanted to move is flipped red. So it's like, I don't know. I don't know. I might have to give it a couple years. Only advice my old behind can give regarding politics: get involved with local elections, get to know your sheriff, mayor, Congress, state, all of it. Um, you will feel safer within your communities. Good. That's true. It's not act like Trump didn't have big celebrities backing him either. Dude had wrestlers and the biggest yeah. Musk, that's true. Biden fucked up. Biden waited too long. Harris had zero time to influence the nation. Yeah, I agree, Johnny. Yep. She had very little. She had a very limited amount of time to do a job that it takes longer to be able to, you know, to do that. Will she run again? Personally, I think she should. But I think if she runs again, she should really be very clear about what her policies are and focus on not what Trump did, like focus on what she's going to do and get to know what her targeted, like what the people want and target that and target what people want. But I don't know. I'm no campaign manager. I could be wrong. I think that's where the disconnect was to some degree. I'm not surprised he went. Like I did think that she had a really really good chance of winning. Quite frankly, I did. But am I surprised that he won? I always kept a small margin of like, all right, this could go all the way left, pun intended. Um, no, no pun intended. Trump appealed to his base. He got around the same amount of votes he did in previous elections. It was the people. It was the people he didn't vote. If you want to bully liberals who are easy to bait, try the Midas touch. Keep trying to pick on a stream this small is kind of cringe. A landslide joke. Send me. Yeah, it's back to those types of there you go. That type of rhetoric. To be fair, looking back, hindsight 2020 and all that jazz, Biden should have not ran at all and just let Paris go for it or Harris go for it. She would have had a chance. Yeah, I think so. I think she would have had a chance had she had a lot more time to like to even to build the base and then mobilize it. Personally, I think Biden should have stepped down like he said he would in 2020. If Kamala had ran and gotten the primary vote, she could have drawn the proper turnout. Hmm. I have no idea what Harris' policies are. That a lot of people have expressed that there was never um, an actual answer when she was asked about policies, and even the things that I've looked at, there you would have had to really look into Harris. You know what I mean? Like look at the things that she's done when she was like AG and things like that. And I think that's how you would know what you could possibly expect from her. I don't think she was as clear as she could have been. For the regular person who's not like tapped into politics all the way, and a regular person who is maybe watching the debates on TV. You know what I mean? Like not the one that's on like chronically online following this shit, but the person who's casually following it. I don't think she made it clear enough for that person. Um the girl that died in Texas wanted her miscarriage started after her baby shower. That's so sad. That's so sad. Pool socks is just a grouch. Him and his pool socks. When we've only had the lesser of two evils, so to speak, to vote for years, I always hoped the president would do more good than bad. I already knew they were going to suck no matter who it was. That's true. All right. Why y'all keep saying, oh, okay. Okay, I see it. I just want everyone to know anything you common folks like me who get freedom taken away is not my fault. I know, right? What you guys did to old, I guess. All right, whatever. Whatever, your mama. Um, no one here did anything to Stolas. Don't even bother. You don't think she can't run again, you don't think she should? Dems are going to get a white man for next election. I don't think she'll run again. If they would have put a man on this one, we would have gotten it. If it would have been a man on this one, we would have gotten it for sure. For sure. There's like no question about it. We have to leave room for the fact that there is a lot of misogyny, and that has a lot to do with why, not everything, but there is a good portion of the voter base that does not want a woman up there. Full stop. Full fucking stop. And I think, that's a very real, reason for why maybe not as many people voted. Um, how happy Trump won. This country has hope now. If she runs again, she should get voted in by her party this time. Yeah, she would have to. She has to build the not only the trust, but like the relationship with. Like Trump has his own voter, but like he has his voter base. Like like he knows who the people who are gonna vote for him want, and what their life looks like, even if he's never lived it himself, even though he can't identify with it on a personal level. He knows what they want and what their life looks like, and he knows how to target that. And I think that's the problem with what we've seen with Democratic, like campaigns. I think really the only reason why Biden had the win that he had was because we were just coming off of the pandemic. So there was a lot of, and then he was a man. So I do think that has something to do with it. I know some people say that it doesn't. It does, in my opinion. That was a DNC fault that Biden didn't step down earlier. Harris did awful during 2020 primaries, and Biden did too. Well, I mean, Biden's administration wasn't the most. Uh, I think it was like highly unpopular from uh, in comparison to some other administrations. So yeah, they started off on a bad foot, so to speak. Um, So let's try this again. I hope things get better, but if things go south, just know I didn't want that and I didn't vote for that. Yeah, agreed. Harris can run again and she can win 2 terms still if she keeps popularity up the next primary. If Harris wants to run again, Harris needs to start from like now, talking to people, outreach, shit like that. You know what I mean? Working, like she really needs to connect with who you know, um, the demographic. She has to do that. Like because she didn't have it during this campaign season. She didn't have the benefit of that. So now if she wants to run again, yeah, she has to like she has to hit the ground running when it comes to like connecting with people. I'm gonna start a GoFundMe to build a new town in Canada, community centric. Who join? I might have to go. I might have to go there. Is she live now? Hold on. Damn. Let me see. Hold on. Wait, 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 wait. Elon is supposed to be the new director of the Department of Government Efficiencies. What? Okay, hold on. I think she's about to talk. Let me bring this up real quick. Hold on. We'll watch the other video afterwards. All right. Nothing is happening yet. Harris won't run again. Dems have ample proof that the country will elect a convicted felon, while white male lunatic over a female, and then black female. It just confirms where rural America stands. Yeah, true. Man, as a military veteran who served under Obama, Obama used our intel agencies to help the 2014 Ukraine revolution to get us into a war with Russia. It never had to happen. I voted against World War III. Um, is she going up yet? Let me see. I don't think she should concede. Like, unless all the votes are counted, I'm a stubborn motherfucker. I wouldn't concede at all. I'm like, y'all gonna have to. I would have to do a Trump. Like, I'm not conceding. I gotta see these numbers. Watching the news, I'm about to see things happen that this upcoming administration ain't gonna care about. Tulsi Gabbard, your mama, get out. What are you talking about? Tulsi, yeah. And you know what's crazy? When I first heard Tulsi speak, I thought she was like, but no. For president, no. No. I firmly believe Dems can't win without a populace. There are lots of capable politicians, including Harris, but the populism, real or fake, is what matters. Vibes matter, passion matters, not logic. Yeah, that's what that the vibes got a vibe for the president to be elected. That's what it's coming down to. It has to be I feel like the messaging has to be as basic as possible. Like, bottom line, like the rhetoric, everything has to be, and really like tapped into what the common person wants. Because if not, we're gonna get the same thing over and over and over again. Like, I only think Biden. One thing that Trump has done, which it is a good and a bad thing. The bad thing is that the anti-intellectualism, right? Because you're not gonna ask your next door neighbor to do a surgery on you, right? Like, you need people who know what the fuck they're doing. But I think there's overly polished persona that a lot of politicians like had, and I think that making politicians more accessible and more relatable is a good thing, right? That and I think that and even though he's not relatable, if you look at like his lifestyle versus his voter base, but he's been able to come off that way, and that's what's important. Is regardless of whether or not he is or he isn't. Biden's the most unpopular president. He was pretty unpopular. She has to start now if she wants to run again. Agreed, Fitting Curve. Yeah, I agree. Obama gave us hope. Harris is giving nothing. I think Harris. I don't think Harris had enough time, man. I think if Harris had more time and like I said, connected with what people wanted, not just on. I mean, I think it's fine to connect, like, if you like this type of music or whatever. Like, Obama was good at like mixing like pop culture, if you will, like what people enjoy, and an actual, like, and still being a politician. He was good at like doing that without it coming off like too much. And I think you have to be careful when you start getting all these celebrity endorsements, because to a lot of like the regular person, it comes off as fake, whether it is or it isn't. Like, it just comes off that way. I think Harris lost because Democrats lost. They didn't get their voters out. She messed up, shushed people protesting for Palestine. They told them they weren't voting for her because of them. Oh, 7 p.m. All right. So we're gonna watch the other one. As gross as it is, her not being white hurt her too. If she was a white woman, I think we might have still got it. But being a woman and not white was too much. Yeah. All right. I'm gonna go all the way down. Dems are going to move right to gain support. You think so? Well, she was kind of leaning, like centrist, and that didn't help. Look, I know a lot of people don't like Bernie, but the one thing Bernie knew how to do was connect with, was to understand what people wanted. So there's that. Um, who is that? Uh, Hostile. Why you putting people's names in there? Who is that? Thank you for the super prayer. Why do you think Tim Walsh was a dumb pick, your mama? I would like to know. Who would you her rather have picked if not Tim Walsh? Because I thought with Kamala being more, a lot of people talked about her time. You often hear her having locked people up. That was the rhetoric that was surrounding Kamala. Um, her being in law enforcement, or like, it was a good, like, sort of balancing act to put Tim Walls up there because he was like the relatable. He was very relatable. So where I think Kamala didn't come off as relatable, Tim Walls did. Um, but why do you think it was a bad idea, your mama? Because Walls had dry feet. Look, I let people talk, man. I let them get their shit off. She should have picked Shapiro. I did hear some people upset that she didn't pick Shapiro. All right, let's watch my homegirl. So this is, I don't know if y'all know who she is. Her name is, I don't want to mess up her last name, or we're gonna say Ole. Ole. I'm gonna drop her page in the chat. So she's a lawyer and she's been doing obviously she's been doing like coverage of the election and stuff like that. And she just came out with this video I think like last night. So let me bring that up. I don't know why I did that. Hold on. All right. Yeah. But no, why does it not surprise me that why does it not surprise me that you have been blocked by Ole? Y'all tell me if y'all can hear this. Can y'all hear this? Oh, that's President Camacho from Idiocracy. That's the problem. You have to vote for popularity, and that guy was a dumbass. Oh, thank you for the super prayer, hostile. Okay, good. Dismantling the Department of Education. I think in Project 25, there's the Title One, um, which if you don't know, Title One is like funding that goes towards schools where the majority of the parents of the students don't make a, they fall under a certain economic, um, like they're below. I don't think it's below poverty, but it's like they're lower income families, and so Title One provides funding for like extra programs and things like that. Um, and so to remove that is very dangerous. Kamal wouldn't let me talk to FD Signifier either. Oh, I think Ole and him have contributed negatively to the progressive movement. Okay, Vidal, I have to hear this. I need you to let me know why you think they've contributed to the progressive movement? In what way? And is it about? Yeah, I want to know why you say that, because I watch FD, I watch Ole. There's some of some of the people that I watch regularly. Uh, so I want to know why you say that. Oh, hold on, let me see where you at. Oh, have fun if they dismantle the EPA for jobs like mine. Guess what that means? Less permit requirements, so more pollution. They're just like, just dismantle everything. Fuck it.
Using the
Why do we
2016
need
election to
anything
Donald
for?
Trump. That she was too unlikable, that she called Trump voters deplorables, that she didn't campaign enough in the swing states.
That's also something I was thinking about, right? When they talk about like female, like women who are campaigning. Well, all we know is like Hillary Clinton and Kamala Harris, right? And oftentimes, even I've said it, because I know that with women specifically, like if you're not likable, then that for whatever reason, that is the you're not listened to if you're not somewhat likable, right? That's often the critique. But then I was thinking about it, and I'm like, but who gives a shit? Like, I've never heard of, like, and maybe I could be wrong, but when it comes to like men that are, running or whatever, I don't hear that as much as I've heard it for applied to women who are running for, presidency. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I just have not been paying attention. I don't know. But like, who gives a shit if they're not likable? If they're gonna get the shit done, then let them get it done. But and even like as it pertains to how they deal with foreign, like uh, other for leaders and shit like that. Trump is not likable at all.
And for years, I have thought how ridiculous a nation must be to insist it made perfect sense to elect a white supremacist, sexist, xenophobic, racist, stupid ass bigot who told us exactly who he was because the woman he ran against wasn't likable enough, that she didn't campaign hard enough. All the while, I have thought that if it's an uphill battle for anyone to beat a white supremacist, they are far more qualified than, for any reason, it is an indictment on the nation. But that's never what I've said, because I have always chosen to try to be mindful about how I discuss US elections whose results totally upend my life. And I knew, not just based on that election or the general voting patterns of each demographic in this country or the bigoted discourse that's been suffocating us all for 3 election cycles now, but by my lived experience as a Black woman, that this deeply racist and sexist country that refused to elect a white woman would not elect a Black woman. I knew that. And I voiced that the moment Joe Biden dropped out and Kamala Harris became the nominee. But I allowed people to muscle me into believing America isn't who I've always known it to be and who it continues to show me it is. I listened to people tell me that I was being too cynical to believe she would have an impossible hill to climb, to believe that white women would never vote for her no matter what they told you, that this country hates Black women,
Yeah.
that it hates immigrants, and that it hates Kamala Harris not for who she is, but what she is. But people wanted her to win. We wanted her to win. They wanted to believe she could win. They wanted to feel optimistic, which required
Yep.
them to believe America was not America. So they convinced themselves Kamala Harris could win if she did X, Y, Z, if she ran a particular kind of campaign, if she was more left, if she was less left, if she laughed less, if she talked more, the list goes on. And people were so convinced. I let them sell me a dream I knew was a mirage. I let people muscle me into forgetting the most important truth about racism and misogyny, which is that it doesn't care about truth. It does not care about qualifications. It does not care about fair. The truth is, there is nothing Kamala Harris could have done to win that election. I knew it when she became the nominee, and I'm more sure than ever before. Many leftists want to believe and will continue to argue tooth and nail that she did not win because she wasn't left enough, because she was too centrist, because of her stance on Gaza. But the evidence simply does not reflect this. First of all, maybe if only Kamala Harris lost, you could choose to ignore all the data that explicitly told us that Americans believed Kamala Harris and the Democrats were too liberal, which is something they likely believed not because of Kamala Harris's actual stances or policy agenda, but simply because she's a Black woman. But it wasn't just Kamala Harris who lost. It's not even just that the Democrats are projected to lose the Senate and the House, but progressive legislation on the ballot failed all over the country. From Florida to California failed. The entire country moved to the far right. Some leftists will choose to believe that the entire country moving to the far right shooting down progressive legislation and candidates nationwide and explicitly declaring that the Democratic candidate was too left is proof that the candidate lost because she didn't openly pander to the far left enough. Many of whom declared time and time again that they wouldn't vote for a Democrat under any circumstances because they
Finn Kirby said, also, in my opinion, the people at the top want all of us at the bottom to fight. It's a form of distraction so we don't pay attention to the fuck shit they're doing. Um, and that's also very true. I don't want to think about the Supreme Court. Edna said, yeah, I don't blame you. The purity and litmus testing is out of control. The virtue signaling and fake outrage have progressives thinking they can muscle the more moderate part of the party. But I did see, like, when that topic came up of her position on Palestine and Israel and how she was gonna, I saw like a lot of people saying, "Oh, well, we're just gonna withhold our votes because you're not giving us a clear answer." And I'm like, "Well, do you think Trump is gonna do any better?" Like, I mean, it's one of those things where, um, like, are they more? Would you get further with them? And she had said something like this before, which I agree with. Like, is a conversation even going to happen with this group? And if you look at the two, the two Republican, Democratic, which one can you even have a conversation with? Which one will you even be able to put the shit on the table with? And that might be the one to go with, because at least you'll be able to move further along than, let's say, the other one who's like stern against it. And Trump already told us what he wants to do to Palestine, or what he wants, or what he thinks should be done as it pertains to the Palestinian and conflict.
They were going to break the duopoly, get the Greens to 5%, teach the Democrats a lesson on Gaza, vote their conscience, vote their heart, not vote at all because both parties are the same and fascism is already here. Some leftists will choose to believe this outcome is the result of Gaza, and that this outcome proves that the Democrats would have won had they listened to the furthest left. But the data does not support this. Jill Stein did not win 5%. She didn't even win 2%, not in Michigan or anywhere else. The exit polls indicated what many already knew, and it's that Americans care about domestic issues far more than they care about foreign policy or what happens abroad. They voted on economy and their flatly incorrect belief that Trump would be better on the economy, despite economist after economist assuring us all that Trump will destroy the economy, and that he would suppress the marginalized groups they've grown sick of hearing from. Leftists will say that Democrats have no one to blame for the results of this election but themselves. But that implies that it's Democrats who lost something tonight. But it's all of us who lost. We will lose our rights. And many of us will lose our lives. You are not dunking on the Dems. You are dunking on us. The joke is on us. America is not who many leftists want to believe it is. The truth is that this country is deeply, deeply racist, sexist, homophobic, xenophobic, fundamentally hateful, and downright uneducated. No one will gain anything from a Trump presidency, but the losses will be crippling. Importantly, although I think many leftists are wrong in what they'll choose to take from the results of this election, I want to be explicitly and abundantly clear that leftists, far left or otherwise, are not to blame for the results of this election. Shoots. Not even the Electoral College is to blame, because most voters did vote for Trump. But you know who didn't? Black people. If there is one solitary group in this country who is not to blame for the dark times that are soon to come upon us, it's Black people who voted overwhelmingly for the Democrats and to save this democracy. And despite how many thinly veiled racist attacks Black people had to endure all election season, that we were only voting for Kamala because she's Black, all ranging from Republicans to white leftists and even some non-white people, like the Green Party's both transphobic and anti-abortion vice presidential pick, Butch Ware, the truth is that Black people always vote overwhelmingly Democrat, even when the candidates have been white, as they usually are, because the alternative is a white supremacist party openly and aggressively committed to our subjugation. So do not look to Black people to blame for what's to come. Look to white men, white women, and Latino voters, who I wish I could say I was surprised by, but I am not, because I know what this country is. Throughout Kamala Harris's campaign, people who invested their efforts into protesting against her because their contempt is reserved for liberals, not fascists, told us that they were protesting Kamala Harris and making demands of Kamala Harris while speaking nothing of Donald Trump, asking nothing of Donald Trump, and downplaying every threat made by Donald Trump, because they said that they knew they could not get anywhere with Donald Trump. And they were correct. We will not get anywhere with Donald Trump. So save your demands because he will not hear them. Hold off on your protests because you will likely be brutalized and criminalized as Donald Trump has promised police violence. Make peace
with impunity. That's the other part. Like that's one of the wilder parts about like he's literally like he said he wanted to give cops impunity. Like I mean
with the rights that you've
anyway,
already lost
just
to
let it
Trump's
play.
Supreme Court and kiss the remainders goodbye because any hope at saving the Supreme Court or any of your rights is done, at least for your lifetime. Whatever you thought the Democrats didn't do enough of, prepare to lose even that much. I don't have to wonder about the nightmare to come because Donald Trump, the Republicans, and the Christian Heritage Foundation told us exactly what they have planned and how they're going to do it. And America overwhelmingly declared that it's what they want. And who am I to lecture America about what's best for them? I moved through so many emotions tonight.
It's like how is he even able to be president as a felon? That's the part that got me. I'm like you think that would be like it, but nah, like he's actually able to be a president.
From
That's wild.
heartbreaking disbelief to rage, and finally, I have tried to land on apathy and exhaustion. I have expended all my energy trying to convince Americans that you should take seriously a man threatening to upend your democracy and civil rights, especially when that same man already served as president and did things like incite a fucking insurrection when he lost. I have no energy to keep trying to convince Americans that their enemy is not the most oppressed, marginalized group in their society, that hurting immigrants will not bring you money, power, or resources of any kind, that immigrants are not the reason you don't have those things. I am tired of trying to explain to leftist accelerationists that you are not going to convince the Democrats to be more left wing by putting the far right nut jobs in office.
I mean, you don't have to be here. See, the thing that's interesting to me is if you got the win. This is for anyone, wanting to pop in and disturb other people's spaces. The If you got the win, how are you also a sore winner? How can you also be a sore winner? If you got the win and y'all are happy and celebrating, what are you doing trying to disturb other people's spaces? I don't get that to the people, popping in. And I know y'all are trolls, so it is what it is. But I'm just saying, like, y'all the sorest winners ever. Like, what? You know what? I'm sorry, Ole. People tried to warn you about what was happening. All you did was block people. Yeah, that's hilarious that she blocked you, though, Vidal. It must have been when I would see you on Twitter, like going back and forth with people. Um, I guess so, Red Shot. I keep laughing like that we're going to have a convicted criminal for president because it is wild. It is. It is. Ad hominem. Withering discourse from MAGA as usual. You're all deeply unserious people. We never needed rules to keep a felon out because we never had the situation before. In the past, you may not have liked the president, but they were at least professional, unlike Trump. That's true. Only thing we could do at this point is invoke Section 3 of the 14th Amendment. He was deemed an insurrectionist by the Colorado courts. That should disqualify him outright. It's insane to me that, like, he's even, like, been able to, um, um, that he's even been able to get this far. Carnivorous, like how that has not been put into play already is wild. Like if I mean, look, all I'm saying is if I was celebrating, I really wouldn't be in nobody. Like I wouldn't be among the people who I think who have lost. That's just wild to me. I'm gonna be busy celebrating, but we're different people. I'm not gonna leave a country I was born in, but nice try. It's cool, and they're not. It is what it is, man. Remember, it's a crime if a Democrat does it, but it's okay for Republicans. That's an acronym for it. Uh, don't like the country, leave with an absolute. I was born here. Where am I gonna go? I can't go nowhere else. Like this is literally where I've been raised. because we can all afford to move out of the country. Most Americans can't afford to move a town over. That is the dumbest argument. Not only that, like I'm in New York, so realistically, all the people that voted or the majority of the red states, guess what? The state that I live in pays for those other red states to even exist. All the funding and shit like that that they have, a lot of it comes from blue states. But whatever, I don't care. It's a party, I guess. Everybody's welcome. Better than they're sore winners instead of sore losers. We won't be getting January 6th part 2 Electric Boogaloo, right? Right? Like, they ain't deporting me. I'm from here. What are you talking about? Um, he was disqualified by the states, the Supreme Court. And it's funny too, because you'll see people, and this is I think the funniest part about all this, right? You'll listen to this video and be like, everything is about race, and these people always talking about race. And then one of the first things somebody says to you is, well, he's gonna deport you. So is it about race, or is it not about race? Because nobody, like, I, we're watching a video. I didn't say nothing, but somehow I'm gonna get deported. So it's funny how the inconsistency in belief system. But what do I know? He was disqualified by the states. The Supreme Court stopped the states from keeping him off the ballot. He stacked the court. Shows how immature they are. Yeah, it's whatever. It's fine. Oh look, exactly. I'll be deported. Anyone who voted for Trump and Republicans have literally voted against my rights as a human. Eat my whole asshole. Um, quieting dissent is the least American thing you can do. So telling people to leave is crazy. Why don't y'all go to a country where you can't dissent? We have First Amendment rights. Back to Africa. Adios. That's hilarious. I didn't know the language of Africa was Spanish. I mean, I guess in some places. There's an old acronym for that saying, because never would a felon Democrat become president. Sorry, they're short circuiting. They're just trolls who think it's smart to elect a locale for a president. Yeah, okay. It's not smart to elect a locale, but the audacity will go into funny territory sometimes. Yeah, exactly. Right.
That you are not going to spite the Democratic Party or the powers that be by not electing them. That you are not going to show them shit. You're not holding them accountable. You are strapping the country and the most marginalized people in it to the fucking rails. I am tired trying to explain to people that the world they dream of cannot be accomplished with a single phone call, no matter what people who do nothing but run for president every 4 years tells you. I am tired of trying to explain anything to Americans who so desperately wanted to be able to critique Kamala Harris in a vacuum that an election is about choice. It is about choosing someone in relation to the other candidates. Couldn't possibly make sense to make these indictments of Kamala Harris in a vacuum. Meanwhile, Trump is the alternative. You know what's been on my mind all election season? Repeatedly, I hear Americans complain that every election they say this is the most important election, that democracy is in danger. Every time I hear this complaint, it leaves me at a loss as I just start firing questions at myself. Is something less true because you hear it often? What does it cost you to go vote? Why are people behaving as though by being asked to vote, the bare minimum, they are being asked to build the ark and load the animals by their lonesome by end of business day? Mm. Is it absurd that democracy and your personal freedoms would be under threat in a nation where white supremacists never wanted you to have those freedoms in the first place? Is it absurd that you would be told your vote is important and that it's necessary you exercise it in a nation where you had to fight for the right in the first place because the white supremacists in charge didn't want you to have it? I don't even understand the need for this exacerbation of the concept of being told at election time, the time where power is up for grabs, that it will yet again be important to prevent your enemies from gaining power. Someone promised that because it was important to vote in one election, right, that it could not or would not be important to vote in the next one? Yes, you keep being told that this is the most important election and that democracy is under threat, because it is. How many rights do we have to lose before we get it through our thick skulls that our rights are always in danger, that we will have to keep showing up and fighting for our rights? And not just by voting. That's the least of it if you can vote. Republicans spent 50 years actively working to overturn Roe, and they always show up to vote because they get that it's never just a one and done. You have to
It's a
fight to
long
get rights, and
game.
you have to fight to maintain them. Your ancestors did not fight for your right to vote in one election. No one told you
Oh, carnivorous, is that where your family's from? That's where mine is from. They're from Ponce.
only one election mattered. It's a right you keep exercising. And honestly, you should want to. No one should have to fight you to use what power you do have. I do not know why people keep acting like because the last election they were told was the most important, that the next one can't be. Have you ever had
Everyone should be
problems?
important.
And have those problems ever gotten worse over time? Exactly. Have you ever worked out and dieted so that you could lose weight? And when you lost that weight, how did you maintain it? By continuing to work out and eat right. But like I said, I have gone through all the emotions: disbelief, rage, and finally apathy. Or at least I am trying to feel apathetic because the pain is overwhelming. I've been in America since I was 14 years old and I am now 31 years old. That is 16 years and 5 elections that I've had no say in. All have impacted me greatly. But 2016 upended my life. 2016 brought forth one of the worst times in my life as an immigrant in this country. But as I sit here in 2024, coming to terms with what's in store for me again and how I avoid it, I know that America not only does not give a fuck, but it's the outcome they wanted. So there's no need for me to keep bearing my soul or trying to plead with this nation. I am going to save my breath, as I should have all election season. And as I will when Donald Trump takes hold of this country and people start to experience the fascism they insisted was already here. I am no longer in a position to advocate for Americans who advocate against immigrants like me. This is what the majority of Americans wanted, and my heart is with those of us who will not survive it.
So I thought that was I didn't I hadn't watched it because I figured when I saw it come up, I was like, oh, let me watch it, on stream. I thought it would be good to take a look at. And I know like there's a lot of people and they're taking their victory lap, and that's all good. It is what it is. I like I know there's a lot of videos of people crying, and I personally don't understand that either. I understand someone may be feeling emotional about this whole thing. I don't understand putting the shit online. Like, I really don't. I don't get why people are recording themselves crying and putting it online. With all that being said, though, I think one of the problems that we come across in this country from uh, is the lack of empathy for another person's circumstance, and I think that's a big problem as to why the discourse is what it is. Why you have people who are genuinely, afraid of what this means for them and who they are and how they get to exist in this country, and you have other people thinking that that shit is a joke. You know, like I said, you had somebody in there go back to Africa. I'm not. I am from New York. I am from New York, born and raised here. I wasn't even born in Puerto Rico. I was born here. So I have the advantage of being in a blue state. I am not an immigrant. I am not trans. I am not. I'm not. Uh, like I have that advantage to some degree, right? So, but I can empathize with people who who are afraid because of who they are and where they come from. And so I think that's the biggest problem with a lot of people in this country is that, you know, there's just a lack of empathy. It just is what it is. And that's kind of the way that's the way I look at it. But it's not something that I'm not familiar with, and it's not something that I don't expect. So that's why it doesn't hit me the way maybe it does. I it is it is what it is. Like, that's the way I look at it. But anyway, so we just gotta see what happens. That's the way I look at it. Yes. Oh my god. Here's the reality: all your lives are going to be better under Trump. You're going to do better financially, and that will give you true freedom. Well, come back here in 2 years and we'll see about that. Let's see. I'm not that emotional. Look, best case scenario, you're absolutely right in the sense that things will be better. Best case scenario. But if the only way that they'll be better is financially, but people's rights are being stripped away, then that is not better. It is that's relative. So we'll see though. I'm not that emotional, but I understand people's lives on the line. Exactly, yeah. But I'm genuinely afraid of being forced to give birth. What's going on, Jump Set? Um, Blue privilege. I think to some degree, like I'm in a southern state, red state too. Trump has no health care plan. That alone is terrifying. It is. Marty, what's going on, Marty? Again, we shall see. People didn't think Roe v. Wade was gonna be overturned, and look at where we're at with that. So I don't say anything is impossible. I just say I hope that it doesn't happen, because the reality is that there's no joy that I would get if it does happen that way. It's like when people would talk about like the vaccines, and they're like, it's gonna start happening and people are gonna start, dropping like flies. And I had to tell somebody that, because they were like, constantly talking about the 19 vaccine. And I'm like, and I had to tell them, I said, let me ask you a question. Do you think that everyone got the vaccine because they were told to do so? Or do you think that maybe people are genuinely concerned? Maybe they are prone, like I'm prone to pneumonia. If I get sick, I almost always get pneumonia. I'm prone to pneumonia. I'm also asthmatic. You have other people who have other illnesses that if they get sick, it just exacerbates whatever the sickness is. I said, do you not ever consider that people got it because they're genuinely concerned about their health, or that they don't want to bring an illness back to their elderly parents, or they care for a sick child, or they have, like there's so many reasons why people got that, not just because they were told to get it. And I said, at some point you got to stop and think about this shit. It's not only like you running your fucking mouth and getting a win. I said, so if I drop dead tomorrow because I got it, you're going to be happy about that? No, I'm not going to be happy about that. Exactly. So what are we talking about? Why do you want to be right on this? And then we never had that conversation again. Like, come on. Like, let's be real, like so, I like I said, he wants to get rid of Social Security and Medicare. His biggest donors do, especially, and they say liberals tonight. I'm in mourning. I'm a black woman. My son is trans, and we're just having a time. I know a lot of people, like their entire identity and everything. They're worried, rightfully so. I don't want a fucking parasite in my body that I have to give birth to, that I never wanted in the first place. You have eczema as well. I think you mentioned on the show you have a skin condition. Um, I have I don't know if I would call it eczema, but I guess it's like that. Like, cause my kid has eczema too, so I'll get like little outbreaks or whatever. But I haven't gotten anything like that in years. I haven't gotten it in a while, but I will get like little patches of, like, I guess eczema, if you will. So like, it's a woman's choice. Anytime the government is involved in healthcare decisions, their reach has gone too far. I mean, and it's also like, to what's interesting is that if you look at, like, ideologically, it's if you're a person who doesn't believe in government overreach, the idea that you would be cool with government reach overreach in this capacity is insane. Because, like, ideologically, that's not even supposed to be where you're at. If you don't want the government getting involved in nothing else you got going on, why do you want them getting involved in your health care? That should be for a doctor and you to discuss. But that's what happens when you mix church and state. You got a lot of people putting their religion into it, and that's the problem. I mean, I'm not in tears, but okay, I guess. Like, have a good time with that. Like, all right. A build community resource. Yeah, yeah, that's true. And vote locally. Vote locally. Whatever resources are available, if you put the right people in position locally, then you'll be able to still benefit from that. My son is gay when DeSantis started to target LGBTQ. He got a scholarship to University of Queensland, Australia. Oh wow. Also, what about preventing government overreach? That doesn't matter, I guess, at this point. It doesn't matter if you personally agree with abortion or not. That's your choice. You don't get to make that choice for them. That's freedom. Yeah, exactly. 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 And that's the point. Especially since the government barely even and it'll extend beyond abortions, and that's the problem that a lot of people are not really paying attention to. It extends beyond abortions. What happens when next it's contraception and access to contraception? What happens when it extends to that? Then what? But we are definitely already making plans. We are putting out paperwork for nonprofit to help support the BIPOC community. We definitely have to step up and step in. Yeah, Golden Tempest. Um, no one cares about your guy. I mean, the that's the but that was the whole reason to even to separate church and state. That like people have different religious beliefs. Those things should not be able to govern. And what's crazy is that those same people will criticize places in the Middle East that are ruled by what is it called? Um where the religion of Islam is basically what governs the people. They will criticize those people, but then want Christianity to govern us over here. It's crazy. It's insane. It's insane. I'm not trying to be funny. I just remembered about the peanut, the squirrel, and the Frank. Yeah, yo, I just heard about that the other day. I thought to look for videos on it, but I just never got to it. Um, exactly. Let people worry about answering to God. We have the First Amendment. Sharia, thank you. Sharia, thank you. Oof. I swear, like my mind just be going. But anyway, yo, I think I'm gonna end it here because I got some things to do. But uh and stand. But I hope that we were able to. I enjoy just chopping it up with y'all. I haven't done this in a long time where I just sit here and like mainly talk. I don't particularly like to do it only because I feel like I'm not gonna have enough to say. But I guess today was it was good because it was cool to go back and forth with y'all and just talk to y'all. Um, I'm looking for a damn. I'm looking for a damn song. I was looking for a song. I know what I want. I know what I want. Here we go. There we go. This is my shit. All right, hold on. All right, y'all. So I hope you guys have a good one, and I will see y'all on like the next day or two. I have a new video that's about that I'm working on, so I'll be dropping in the next day or so. So yeah, if you haven't done so already, don't forget to like the stream. Even uh everyone just like the stream or dislike it if you didn't like it. It is what it is. But and don't and keep your head up. Don't be too hard on it. I know it's for some folks it is scary depending on where you live. I understand that, and I ask that people who may be happy about this Trump um about Trump winning the presidency, like be kind to other folks that may be a little bit fearful of what could happen. Don't be a fucking jackass about it. But anyway, all of y'all have a good one, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.
Life, I wonder, will it take me under? I don't know. Imagine
Imagine smoking weed in the street without cops harassing. Imagine going to court with no trial. Lifestyle cruising blue Bahama waters. No welfare supporters. More conscious of the way we raise our daughters. Days are shorter, nights are colder. Feeling like life is over. These snakes strike like a cobra. The world's hot, my son got knocked. Evidently, it's elementary. They want us all gone eventually. Trooping out of state for a plate. Knowledge, if coke was cooked without the garbage, we'd all have the top dollars. Imagine everybody flashing. Fashion, designer clothes. Lacing your click up with diamond rolls. Your people holding dough, no parole, no rubbers. Going raw, imagine law with no undercovers. Just some thoughts for the mind. I take a glimpse into time. Watch the blimp read, the world is mine.
If I rule the world,
imagine that.
I free all my sons. I love them, baby. Black diamonds and pearls.
Could it be? If you could be mine, we both shine.
If I rule the world,
still living for today. In these last days until where to be paradise like relaxing. Black, Latino, and Anglo-Saxon. Amani exchange the range. Cash, Lord Tribe of Shabazz. Free at last, brand new whips to crash. Then we laugh in the illa path. The villa houses for the crew, how we do. Trees for breakfast. Dime sexes have been stretches. So many years of depression make me vision the better living. Type of place to raise kids in. Opening eyes to the lies. History's told foul, but I'm as wise as the old owl. Plus the gold child, seeing things like I was controlling. Click rolling. Tricking 6 digits on kicks and still holding. Trips to Paris, I civilized every savage. Give me one shot, I turn tripe life to lavish. Political prisoner, set free, stress free. No work release, purple M3s and jet skis. Feel the wind breeze in West Indies. I think Coretta Scott King, mayor of the cities, and reverse beans to Willies. It sound foul, but every
Hi, y'all.
time I
Have a
need to
good
go
one, please.
downtown, I'd open every cell in Attica, send them to Africa.
if I rule the world,
Imagine that.